Hi, this is Scott with Etrailer. Today we're taking a look at our EcoHitch Hidden Front Hitch on our 2017 Ford F-250. Our EcoHitch Front Hitch we have on our F-250 today is one of my favorite ones that we've installed so far. I really like how this one sits up in this open area and it leaves a lot of clearance. Some of these hitches you put on the front will end up down here low and you may end up with clearance issues. These are getting to be really popular for people that are looking to put a snowplow on the front of their truck or maybe a bike rack with some bikes in the front. There's a lot of different things you can do with these. Another nice option with these too is you can take a look at your portable winches. A lot of your receiver style winches will go into these. And one thing I like about this one as well is how our license plate goes on. Since we had to remove our bracket that goes here, this has an option that comes with it where you can just take your license plate, get it installed into your receiver, and then you take your included pin and clip that comes with it and you just pop that in and you're good to go. And then you don't even see the receiver behind it at all, so it's really a hidden design. So after that, say you want to put one of your accessories on the front, all you have to do is unpin that and then boom, now you have your 2x2 receiver here in the front of your F-250. This front hitch is going to have a 5/8 pinhole opening and that's going to come with a pin and clip. And that just simply slides right through there and then you clip it. So it is going to have that with it. This is going to have a tongue weight rating of 1,000 pounds. That's going to be the vertical load pushing down on this portion of our hitch receiver itself. Now this one is going to have a line pull rating of 10,000 pounds. So that's basically going to be your pull rating of a portable winch that you have on the front or anything like that. Now also it's going to have a gross trailer weight rating of 10,000 pounds as well, and that's for, say you want to back up your trailer a little bit easier and you want to be able to see it. You can do that from the front of your vehicle and make your backing up of your trailer a whole lot easier. Now if you have any questions or comments about this front hitch for your F-250, feel free to leave any questions or comments down below, or you can get a hold of one of our experts here at Etrailer. They'd be glad to help you out. Now, as far as installation goes, you will be having to remove the front bumper to get this one installed, and there will be some trimming, but it's something you can definitely do yourself. If it's something you don't have time to do yourself, you can take a look at our dealer locator and get something done for you locally. If it's something you feel like tackling yourself, stick around, watch our video, and we'll help you get it installed. To start our installation, we're going to have these covers here that are covering up our bolts to our bumper. What I want to do is just go ahead and get these covers out of the way. And they kind of sit down in these slots and then pop in place with these little clips. Just want to set those aside. On each side, right behind our bumper, below our body mount, we're going to have two 15mm bolts. We just need to take our 15mm socket and get those removed. Underneath of our bumper on the frame on the driver's side, we're going to have this plug in. I'm going to go ahead and get this removed because this is going to hinder us from pulling our bumper off when we get to that point. Now these can be pretty tricky. They'll get a lot of dust and debris up in them. So just take your time, and all you're going to have to do is push in on this tab and then pop this down. May have to work at it a little bit to get these out because these can be tricky. You can also pop it out just like that. And after you do that, I recommend just tap it up against the side of the frame, get a bunch of that dust and dirt out of there. And that'll make it a little bit easier for you to install. On each side of our bumper, we're gonna have four 18mm bolts. And we're just gonna go ahead and use our 18mm socket and get them started. Now, when you get these going, I recommend leaving them in. Just get them backed out most of the way, but leave them in till you get them all loose. And another thing to keep in mind, it's a good idea to have somebody holding it up for you because this can get pretty heavy. You're going to have a nut plate that will probably fall out the back. those all out. We'll lift our bumper back out of our tow hooks. On our passenger side, we're going to have our wire with one little clip that's holding it in place for our block heater. You just want to pop that off, and then we can get our bumper set off to the side. Now on our F-250, we're going to have this bottom scoop looking thing. We're going to have to get this off, and on each side, we're going to have two 18mm nuts. We'll just get those off on both sides. We're going to have our spot where our plug clips into the frame. Just want to use my trim panel tool and get that pop back. Just let that hang loose for now and out of the way. The one we have over here on our passenger side, I'm just going to get that popped out of the way as well. And now what I like to do is come back through with a rag and just clean up the inside and the outside of my frame rails just to get all the little rocks and stuff out of there, so we'll have a nice flush fit when we get our hardware in place. On our passenger side frame rail, we're going to have this clip that holds in our lines. Now this is for a diesel, this is for our heat exchanger lines. What we want to do is just take a screwdriver and get that in our clip. Now we're just going to pop this open and just figure out the best way to get in there. Just got to pop that up and leave that open. Now we're going to have our heat exchanger, and we're going to have two 10mm nuts, one on each side of it. Just need to get those removed. Just pull that out and away from its bracket and just let that hang down for now. Since we have a diesel, we have this cooler, and we're going to use the brackets that come in our kit. And you're going to see you're going to have a long slot on the bottom and a shorter slot on top. We want to take the shorter slot and put that onto the studs that came off when we took off our heat exchanger. Now we'll take the factory nuts that came with that, and we'll just install that on those. Get those on both sides. Let's bring those down hand tight for now. In our kit, we're going to have these longer small bolts. We're going to have flat washer, lock washer, and a nut. So what we're going to do is we're going to have one washer on the back side of it. And what I like to do is come from the back with that. Get our heat exchanger in place. Then we're going to take another flat washer, a split lock washer, and our nut. And we'll just get that finger tight for now. We'll do that on both sides. Now we'll just come back through and snug down all of our hardware. Now for our hardware, we're going to start off by getting our hardware in our frame. What we're going to have is we're going to have our spacer block that comes in the kit. We're going to have a flat washer and a star washer. Now these are going to go on the longer bolt that has the little shoulder here. So we're just going to get those installed. And what I did with this is basically all I had to do is take my hardware as a whole and reach back into the frame and just find that hole and just get that pop down through. And we'll do that on both sides, and that'll have our hardware in place there inside of our frame. Now behind our bumper, we're going to have this plastic panel here, and what we're going to want to do is get this moved out of the way, and we're going to have 4 8mm bolts on the bottom, then we're going to have 2 more up top. On the back of where our license plate mounts, we're going to have these plastic rivets. We need to get those out of the way. So you could either drill these out, or you could just kind of use some snips and just get those popped out of the way. It can be a little bit tricky to get to. Now we're going to have these little tabs in the bottom. Just want to push down on those. And that's going to let our license plate swing up. And that'll get that removed out of the way. Now to get the rest of this removed, we're going to have 4 plastic push pin clips. I'm just going to use my clip tool and kind of get behind those. Get those to pop out. Now we'll have the other 2 on the other side. We're just going to do the same thing and just get those popped out. With those undone, we can pull our plastic piece out of the way. Now, as you can see, I do have this marked out. This is our center section that goes into our bumper. We need to get this cut out to where we're going to have space for our hitch to fit behind our bumper. So you can see I already have one line already cut, and we're just cutting along the edges of the tape that we have marked out. And we got our measurements and our diagram from our instructions. So I'll just continue cutting out our plastic now. Now we can remove our flap, and we'll just use our same utility knife. Just clean up our edges, make it look a little bit better. Now we have this square marked out on the back of this flat spot. It's best to just go by your instructions and mark everything out where you want it. Now you may have to go a little bit bigger on these after you get it up there and start fitting it. And so just keep that in mind. So what I'm going to do is do the same process. Just use my reciprocating saw and just get that cut out. Now we'll take our bumper backer and just go ahead and get this put back in place. Just line everything up and get your factory hardware reinstalled. Now that we have our hitch getting ready to go in place, we have our hardware coming down through our frame. And when we get our hitch up here, we're going to go on with a flat washer. Follow that up with a split lock washer, and then we'll go on with our nut on both sides. Get our hitch lifted into position, and I recommend having somebody help you. This gets a little bit awkward. We need to line up our bolts. Take our hardware for our 2 bolts that are going to go through this side, and we're going to have 2 on each side. And we're going to use about the same combination. We're going to use our shorter bolts, flat washer, and we're going to go from the inside of our hitch. Now this part can be a little bit tricky. It does help if you have your truck up just a little bit, because you do have to get your bolt in behind the hitch where it's really hard to see. Now just want to wiggle our hitch around until we get our holes lined up. Then we'll come in with our bolt, get that through. Then we'll come in with our flat washer, lock washer, and nut. Now we'll do the same with the rest of our 3 bolt holes. And all we're going to do is just get everything in finger tight. I pulled my hitch as far forward as I can get it to go. Now I'm going to snug down my hardware that's underneath first. And that's going to help bring my hitch up level with where I want it to be. And I'm just using a 3/4 socket and a 3/4 inch wrench. After we have our lower hardware snugged down, we'll go ahead and snug down the 4 that we have inside of our frame. Now we'll come back through and torque down all of our hardware, and we want to start with our bolts that are down below through the frame. Just want to get a 3/4 inch wrench on that and our torque wrench. And we're just going to torque it down to the specifications listed in our instruction manual. Now if you don't have a torque wrench, you can always get one here at Etrailer, or you can take a look at your local auto parts store. They should have one there that you can rent. Now to get our bumper on, we're going to have to get our little nut plates in place, and we can see where it was previously, so we just want to use a little bit of clear tape and kind of line up where our bolts were and just clear tape that in place. That's going to hold them in place, so that way when we come through with our bumper bolts, we don't have to try and hold that plate back there and try and line up the bolts at the same time. Now, if these pop out on you, you can always reach back there and just kind of get them started that way, but this just kind of helps a little bit. Now, after I got that taped, I'll come through and I'll cut around that slot. And that's going to open that up. So our bolts can start through there. Now with the next set of hands, we're just going to get our bumper lifted into place. Bring it over my way. All right. And got to line up our loops in the front. Now what we need to do is get our bumper put back in place where it was, as close as we can get it. We want to get it centered up and lift it up into place. So I'm just going to lift it, and I'm just going to get one bolt started to snug down. While I have one side lifted in place, now I'll hop over and do the same on the other side. That's going to hold it where I want it. Now I can come back through and I'll get all the rest of my hardware in place. I'll get the bolts in the back of the bumper as well. Then I'll come through and snug everything down. Get the rest of them snugged down. We have the ones in behind our bumper and we have it sitting where we want it and centered up good. So now I'm just going to come back through and just get everything snugged down. And with these in the front, I like to kind of go back and forth and kind of do an X pattern to draw everything down evenly. Now we have all of our hardware snugged down, we'll come back through with our torque wrench and get everything torqued down to the specifications listed in our instruction manual. Now keep in mind, your bolts in the front and your bolts in the back underneath are going to have 2 different torque settings, so keeping that in mind when you're getting these torqued down. Now we'll just take our covers and get those popped back in place. Make sure you get all your wiring, harnesses, and everything that you've unplugged put back in place as well. Make sure that you have your Block heater, if you have your diesel, make sure you have that put back in place where that was. Now, after we have everything torqued down and in place and plugged in, what we'd usually do now is go ahead and you can get your license plate bolted up to this plate. And what that's going to do is that's going to slip right there in the front, and you can run your pin and clip through. Get that clipped in place. And that's going to have you all set up for your license plate when you're not using your front hitch. Make sure you have all your connections plugged in, and that'll do it for your installation of your EcoHitch Front Hitch on our 2017 Ford F-250. I'm Scott with Etrailer, and thanks for watching.